What's up, everyone? Happy Friday here. Gus Rico Baseball 4 Podcast, episode 34. Shout out to the legend Fernando Valenzuela upstairs. Okay, 34 in the honor of him. Thanks for joining us again. We're here with Baseball 4 Podcast. We have a great one today. This Zoom stuff, this link, this virtual stuff is working out pretty great for us. And so, yeah, real quick here, shout out there, our players and coaches, Braves parents, tournament directors for making it happen, our first responders out there for taking care of those wildfires that we were going through the other day. We're still probably going through it. I'm sure we are. I stopped watching the news, to be quite honest with you. I couldn't take it anymore. And but shout out to the first responders. Shout out to all the people helping out with donations and all that good stuff out there. Hot Corner Baseball, Ponch over in North Hills. You guys looking for anything, go see him. Bagger Sports in Santa Clarita, go see Norma. If you guys are looking for any kind of equipment out there or any kind of gear. Eric Figueroa, haven't sent you a shout out in a while. I know he's supposed to get on a phone call. He did our background here and does a lot of stuff for the high schools, our local high schools, as far as banners, warning track, logos, all that good stuff. You guys are looking for stuff out there, go ahead and follow Eric Figueroa here. Braves updates. We got a running club going here. We're gonna get Eric Byrnes in it this, one of these days, and all those guys. Running club. We're gonna start off with 5 miles, I think, hopefully. All right. So if you're interested in joining the running club, let me know. It's online. We got summer trips coming up. They're creeping up on us. We have Texas in March, so all that good stuff. Arizona in March, spring training. So make sure we take care of that stuff, and I'm excited for our summer trips here. We got 11 teams playing this weekend. I know you're heading to Vegas. We have 2 teams in Vegas. Perfect game. USSSA all over the place. So it's baseball season, and it's here MLK weekend, 3-day weekend. All right, and lastly, if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have 152 subscribers. I think we can get to 200.
Yes, sir. That's
all
the
right.
goal.
And to my left, co-host Andy Lira.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to episode 34.
You don't sound too excited.
Oh, what's the thing? What do you want me to do? Jump off the walls right now?
I mean, this is
give me
my
a second,
third cup of coffee.
Yeah, welcome to episode 34. Excited to be here to run another one. Safe travels to everybody. Thank you again to the first responders of battling the thing. I know I've seen firefighters at Starbucks and places like that. Don't be afraid to let them know. Thank you to the police force as well that are going out there and enforcing things as well. Let them know thank you for what they do. That goes a long way. But yeah, to get this episode started, man, we got a legend here. Honestly,
Legend.
Ex-professional athlete, baseball player. He's done a lot for the child ball community. He's made a name for himself. He's developed a great program. Really excited to hear stories and really to get to know him on the baseball level and all that. So nonetheless,
Don't forget pickleball chat.
oh, pickleball, there you go. That too. We'll learn about that as well. But nonetheless, legend Eric Byrnes.
There he is.
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's going on, man? Thanks for
Just,
doing this, man.
Yeah, glad to see you guys are safe down there. I know it's been a wild, seems like a couple weeks now with those fires, but it's I went to UCLA and obviously still have a lot of friends down there, have family down there, had a good family friend lose their home down there. So it's been a wild scene. I think it puts life into perspective a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I was telling everyone I got the alerts, on my phone, wind advisory, this and that, red flag warnings, and I ignored it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then come Tuesday night, Monday night, whatever that was, I was like, oh snap, it's howling out there. And sure enough, but yeah, for sure, I know a couple of people that were impacted as well. And I mean, there's only so much we can do, but as far as like baseball wide equipment goes, I mean, I got a bunch of stuff in the garage that I can give away. So we're gonna put something together, but you know how it is out here, man.
Yeah, same sort of thing. I mean, originally Let Them Play started actually as a foundation to raise money to basically buy equipment and do sort of things for kids that, you know, didn't have the means and the capabilities to get it. And our concept was to get kids outside and get them playing and keeping them active. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of kids that have been impacted by this, especially even in the baseball world, who've lost equipment and whatnot. So I know our whole organization is going to be doing what we can. My wife's been going back and forth. I know with Easton, I know Ryan Braun's been pretty active in trying to do the same sort of thing. So, you know, I can assure you guys that, you know, we're definitely going to do everything in our power to try to help out any way we can. And it's not, you know, you look at a situation like this and no, you're not going to make things right. You're not going to be able to fix things, but I think every little thing helps. So whether it's a glove or a bat, cleats, whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man, it's tough. It's tough, especially for the kids out there playing. I mean, from youth to high school, you know, it's like they're going to need it. But I'm sure we'll come through, one of us.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you know, as a baseball community too, it's gotten stronger. It's gotten, you know, as would say LA strong. So it's brought us closer in the sense that just, you know, it's one of those where you can't really take back what's gone, but you can always provide what's best in the future. And we know as long as we keep pushing and keep going, especially these kids, man, you know, and they keep going, they'll realize, you know, how far they've come, especially in a moment like this.
For sure. All right, man, let's get started here. So all I know is UCLA, A's, Diamondbacks, and LTP. But where'd you grow up at? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What high school? How'd you get to UCLA?
So yeah, I grew up in the Bay. It's kind of fun to rehash some of this now, right? Because, you know, now a lot of our kids are kind of going through the same sort of process. But grew up small town called Portola Valley. It's out by Stanford near Palo Alto. Not necessarily known for having the greatest athletes come out of there. A lot of the Silicon Valley tech pioneers, a lot of like old cowboys. And it's a very eclectic place. But my dad was a 4-3 black belt in Kempo karate, never played baseball. My mom was an avid marathoner, tennis player. And of course, I fall in love with baseball. So, you know, grew up pretty much playing everything. It was tennis, it was hoops, it was football, basketball, baseball, and then ended up going to St. Francis High School, where competed against Tom Brady, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how good of a baseball player he was.
Really?
So
I had no clue.
Left-handed hitting catcher, was drafted by the Expos out of high school.
Wow.
But yeah, quick fun story with that. So we played him in football, and I went to the dominant football school. So when we played him, I think the score was like 62-6. And we sacked him 6 times and talked all kinds of shit when he was down on the ground too. Like, hey, Tom, don't worry about it, man. You can't throw a football from your back. And because he was a prospect back then. Like, you know, he was coveted by a lot of the big schools. It was Cal, it was Michigan, whatever. And so we just destroyed him. And then in baseball, he went to Sarah, which is where Barry Bonds went and Greg Jeffries went. And there's a plethora of big leaguers. And so he hit this nuke against us. I mean, I'll never, ever, ever forget. Like, just across the street, land on top of the Planned Parenthood building, which is a whole nother story. The fact there's a Planned Parenthood building across from my Catholic high school.
Right.
But yeah, then I ran into him about, I think it was after his 3rd year at Michigan. And I was at a party at the Brennan's house. Actually, Brent Brennan, who happens to be the head coach of the University of Arizona now for football. And so I'm like, Tom, man, how's it going? And he goes, you know, I got 3 snaps last year. I'm like, sweet, dude. I said, have you ever thought about fucking quitting football and playing baseball? And he's like, nah, man. He goes, I'm going to win the starting job next year because Drew Henson, his competition, was playing baseball for the New York Yankees. And he goes, I'm all in on football. I said, all right, bro. Well, good luck with that. And so, you know, then I probably the next time I talked to him, was after he won his first Super Bowl. And of course I reminded him of, the time I tried to tell him to quit football and play baseball.
Thank God he didn't listen, huh?
Right?
Thank goodness.
But he
Man,
probably would have had a career in baseball too, though.
He would have done fine. Look, he was 6'3", 6'4", left-handed hitting catcher, smooth. I think he would have played in the big leagues. It's funny because Kevin Youkilis is married to Julie Brady, who's Tom's sister, and they just sold their house, but they were our neighbors up here in Tahoe. And Kevin and Tom have we're like this weird competition thing where it's like they'll be out in the woods. Tom has a place in Montana. They'll be out in the woods, and it's like, who's faster? It's like, I'm faster, you're faster. And then they're racing through the woods. So Kevin's not so sure that he would have been this long-time big leaguer. It gets hard, man. And that's the thing about baseball. It's like, you can be really, really, really good, but I can't tell you how many of those guys that we thought like were it that never played a day in the big leagues. And there's a lot of things that have to go right.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it's up to the individual, right? There's nothing parents can do. There's nothing a coach could do. It's the individuals and the players' willingness to be obsessed. And if they're able to do that, then it's on.
Yeah. No, you said it right. You
Yeah,
said it right.
for sure. So you went to San Francisco High School, and then now you at UCLA. How was that? I'm a big UCLA fan over here, so
Yeah, so that was cool.
It.
So basically, what happened was I was getting recruited by Stanford. And so recruiting back then was obviously totally different. It was really easy to slip through the cracks back then. I think now with all the exposure that kids are getting, if anything, the field's kind of watered down and, coaches probably have too many options. But back in the day, it was like, okay, well, I'd gone to Stanford camp since I was a kid. I was 9 years old. And my high school counselor was Susan Marquis, who was Mark Marquis's wife, who was the head coach of Stanford. And Mark Marquis is one of his very best friends, happened to be my baseball coach at St. Francis as well. So they basically sort of paved the way for me to go there, which was cool. And so, at the same time, I'm like, well, there's no guarantee I'm going to get in the school. There's a bunch of little things that had to happen along the way. Stanford was obviously Stanford. I was still developing as a baseball player. I was good in high school. I think my senior year, I really took off, but you signed your letter of intent going into your senior year.
Right.
And so I was going into my senior year, and Stanford had, they'd offered me a 50% scholarship, which, with 11.7 was basically a full ride. And so then UCLA, just because Stanford was recruiting me, there was a guy by the name of Jack Gifford. And if you guys go to UCLA and you see the hitting facility, it's Jack Gifford hitting facility. Jack Gifford grew up with my mom in Southern California. And Jack and my mom had always stayed tight. And he lived up by us in the Bay Area. And so Jack was, I don't know how old he was at the time, 50, 60, but he's like, hey, look, he goes, he had heard Judy Byrnes' kid was a pretty good player. And so I went to hit in his batting cage. And so he called Gary Adams. He was a big supporter of UCLA. And he's basically like, look, Stanford's all over this kid. You got to take him. You got to give him a scholarship. And so without ever seeing me play, Gary Adams, Vince Barry, and Hilly are like, all right, you have it. And so offered me, it was just like books and tuition. And I went down there and took a recruiting trip, had the time of my life. And I still was going to go to Stanford, though. It was just kind of a no-brainer, right? It was always been a dream of mine. And then Mark Marquis came over the night before the signing date, November 11th was the date. So he came over the night of the 10th. And he had said, he's like, look, here's your minimum for the SATs. Here's your minimum for the grades, which I met all of them. But unfortunately, he's like, look, he goes, we got you waitlisted. So we couldn't get you in the early admissions. You're going to have to wait until the fall. There's no guarantee we'll be able to get you in. But, you know, if you want to wait, the scholarship will still be there for you. And I just kind of, I took that as, you know, my world talking to me. And it's just, I think coming off the heels of that recruiting trip at UCLA and having that experience, and then also kind of always wanting to get away from home. Not that I loved home and I loved my parents and everything, but at the same time, I wanted to venture out. I've always had this adventurous sort of thing, and I just felt like UCLA was it. And so I ended up calling Gary Adams back and told him that, you know, if they'd still take me, I'd be a Bruin. And then I got there and you know, long story even longer, basically I got drafted out of high school. I got drafted by the Dodgers, like 38th round. But I went to UCLA and I sat there for like, I don't know, 4 inter-squad games right away early in the fall.
Right.
And I didn't play at all. And so, you know, Gary Adams comes by and he's like, hey, Eric. He goes, did you see the last pitch? And I, you know, at this point I had checked out. Right, and I'm like, nah, sorry, Skip, I didn't see it. He's like, yeah. He goes, that's what I thought. He goes, start running. And so I started running. And it was, you know, like you said, the fourth game of.
Look at that.
I love it. So that was the fourth game of you know, that we had played, a doubleheader, and I ran for like 2.5, 3 hours. So afterwards, Coach Adams, he's like, hey, come see me in my office. And he goes, why aren't you paying attention? I said, because we've played 4 games. I said, I'm the only guy that hasn't played an inning. You know, I'm like, I didn't come here to sit on the bench. Right. And so he goes, you want to play? I said, yes, I want to play.
Let me play. It's not let them play. Let me play. Let me play.
He goes, I planned on redshirting you. He goes, but you got 1 shot. You're leading off tomorrow, starting in right field. Oof. Hit the first ball I saw at the top of the right field wall. And 4 years later, walked out of there, the all-time hits leader in UCLA history.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, it was it. And it's, you know, I tell these kids all the time, I'm like, it is a little bit like that Eminem song. You got that 1 shot, you got that 1 opportunity. What are you gonna do with it? Yeah. And you know what? Hey, if it doesn't work out, fine. You know, maybe if I didn't hit the ball off the top of the right field wall, you know, and punched out or whatever, I would have come up at my next at bat. Like, I had so much confidence in myself and my ability. It was unwavering. And so it's interesting because, you know, I went there and started all 4 years and, you know, had a tremendous amount of success. And, you know, now everyone's talking about, you know, what's going to happen because of the transfer portal, what's going to happen with this new, you know, JC rule where they're not losing any eligibility. I'm like, I say whatever you want.
Right.
Look, I don't care if you're 18 and you have to go up against a 22-year-old. Juan Soto was in the big leagues at 18.
Right.
Right? Like, these guys, the Bryce Harpers of the world, like, these guys weren't playing down. They were playing up. Like, that's the thing it gets to. Everyone wants to reclass and this and that. It's like, bro, I'm shooting for the moon, man. I'm not. I even from you guys joked about the pickleball earlier, but it's like, I want to go play the pros. I want to play the best. I want to be with the best. Like, that's how you get better. So
yeah, you got first place the other day.
So, what's that?
You went first place or second place in pickleball the other couple weeks
ago.
we
got silver out in Palm Springs at the PPA there.
Okay.
Solid.
You know what? I don't want to be like disrespectful or anything, but what pickleball is like that? Is that the black trampoline? Like
no. That's,
how do you what is that?
Or it's just like kind of like tennis.
Like so it's like with the small boards in a sense.
Yeah, local paddles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I just didn't know the name of it, but I definitely know about it.
Oh, so you're in tournaments. You're competing.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing is like the competitiveness in you doesn't leave as a coach. It doesn't leave as anything. You kind of want to keep – a lot of us tend to like want to keep striving for that.
And
Like
don't you
it
have
makes you
like
feel alive.
a teammate with you? Right?
What's
You
that?
have a teammate with you. You have someone next to you.
Pickleball, yeah.
Pickleball, yeah. So
Yeah, so you can
who's
play
better?
singles. I played singles. Singles is very tennisy.
Okay.
So you'll get a lot of the people who have tennis backgrounds, play college or professional tennis, that do really well in the singles. I think the doubles, there's a little bit more of a strategic game that is there's a flow and a rhythm to it, and
Yeah.
it's all about basically setting up your partner, and it's fun. I really enjoy it. I think like you guys said, like it's competing, man. Like we just
Yeah.
love competing. I've always loved competing my entire life, whether it was baseball, and then after baseball I got into doing Ironman triathlons and ultra marathons, and then the whole coaching thing. I mean that goes back to, geez, I mean, what, probably 5-6 years now of doing this. Like, I love it. I mean, it's certainly gets the competitive juices flowing, and I think you go through a process of learning how to do it and how to be great at it. But I always say, like, you're going to get out what you put in. So if you're willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy, I think you certainly will start reaping some of the benefits.
For sure. So this pickleball, the doubles, your partner, who's better?
It's you ideally you match up with someone pretty equal to your level. Yeah, so I it's
Don't let him mess up the team chemistry either. Don't let him mess it up. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Hey,
Well,
hey, does he ever get on you? Like, what are you doing? Come on, man, get it together.
Well, what's funny? One of my partners, this guy, Michael D. His name's Vitamin D. He plays for the Savannah Bananas, and his kid's legit. He played linebacker actually at Notre Dame, crazy athlete, and then got into pickleball because his wife or girlfriend is a professional tennis player.
Oh wow.
And so I went to Savannah last summer. We were actually, I don't know if it was in between the PG World Series and PGI or something, but we were in the South. Ended up going to Savannah and hanging out with Deep for a few days, and we played pickleball, and then we ended up getting the it's an epic shot.
Yo, we got to bring that back. We got to bring that back.
That's one of my favorite pictures of all time.
Oh,
So
nice.
anyway, but yeah, we ended up gelling on the court, and then we went and played in a tournament in Florida just recently, and I killed it. We did really well, and I think it was like 25, 30 teams, and we got to the Final Four.
Oh, okay.
Damn. Okay. So
Man, don't look at me like you want to start a team.
you're not down. You're not down.
I'm not up for it. No way. There's no way. Man,
Yo.
that's awesome. That's great. So let's get into the. I know we didn't talk about the bigs, but let's get into the MLB. So drafted by the Dodgers. Obviously, you had a great career. We all know that. I think you ended with the Diamondbacks. Am I right?
Yeah, I was drafted by the Dodgers originally out of high school, and then I went to UCLA, and so you're not eligible until after your third year. Got drafted by the Astros in the fourth round, and then ended up going back to school for my senior year. It was one of those situations where I just, their offer was shitty. They had signed Lance Berkman. They didn't think they were going to get him, so they spent all this extra money on him.
Lance Berkman.
And
Wow.
I'm like, I'm having the time of my life here at UCLA. We just got back from the College World Series. We had a great incoming freshman class. We had Chase Utley and Garrett Atkins coming in. And in my opinion, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it. And I don't need to push it. And so I went back to school for my senior year instead. Got drafted by the A's, and then it was the process, right? It was Southern Oregon to Visalia, Visalia to Modesto, Modesto to Midland, Midland to Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento to Oakland, Oakland back to Sacramento, up and down 9 times before I finally stuck, and then played like I think parts of 5 seasons in Oakland, and then traded to Colorado. Was there for 2 weeks. They loved me so much they traded me to Baltimore.
He said he was there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Did so well in Baltimore. 2 months later, I got released, signed with the Diamondbacks, and then ended up playing 4 years with the Diamondbacks, and then my last year with Seattle, just a little bit, and then that was it.
Man. So, let's go back to the A's. I mean, I got some stuff to talk about there. I want to talk to you about. So, I mean, obviously that Coliseum got torn down. I mean, I'm sure that hurt.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough losing the A's. Yeah, yes. I mean, it was. I grew up rooting for this team. It's all the memories. The Coliseum was not a great place to play.
Right.
But we had what I'd like to say the best 12,000 fans in baseball that used to come out every single night.
Yeah.
And then when we had our runs, when we went to the playoffs, or when we won 20 games in a row on that Moneyball team, we were selling that thing out, man. 56,000 people, and it was a special organization to be a part of. It was a special team to be a part of. 23 out of 25 guys going out to dinner, going to the bars, going to the clubs, hanging out on and off the field. It was very rare that you get that. Had never got that again. Not at the big league level. A very college atmosphere. So, it was. We had some really good teams. I disappointed. Obviously, we didn't get to win a World Series because I certainly think we were the best team in baseball a couple of those years. 2001, I'd make the argument all day that we were the best team in baseball. 2002, we were up there. 2003, we were up there. Yeah. But just, had some heartbreaks in the playoffs, some first round exits that were really tough. So anyhow, yeah, finally got to the National League Championship Series with Arizona and got past that first round. And ironically, we had to beat the Cubs, who were like heavy favorites.
Right.
So yeah, it's sad for the city of Oakland, but I do think that, if they're going to Sacramento, they're playing there next 3-4 years until that stadium is built in Vegas. And hopefully Sacramento shows well. And I'd like to see Sacramento get a team, even if the A's do go to Vegas, but I won't be surprised if the A's go to Sac, end up staying in Sac, and then Vegas ends up with an expansion team.
Yeah. Man, especially those memories in A's, because I remember the A's used to always have like those what you call the low salary guys or whatever it is, but they always found their way into the playoffs. Yeah. Like they were always in the wild card, they're always in that, and I was like, man, they know how to win. Those young guys always found a way to win, and then it just fell off, and I was just like, man, what is going on here? And it's like, man, it has a lot of history behind it and a lot of things of it, and it just sucks to see it go. But I'm an adversity guy. I want to know what one moment in the bigs that you have where you were like, man, I'm done, but then you just went through it and figured it out and kept going in the bigs. 'Cause I feel like everyone has those moments, and usually you have to dig deep on those.
Yeah, I think early on when I was in the minor leagues, I remember I was in Southern Oregon, and we're playing our first series in Portland, and I was hitting ninth. And I walked into the manager's office, Greg Sparky, we call him. I'm like, Sparky. I go, ninth? He goes, yeah, be happy you're not hitting 10th.
I'm gonna use that one this weekend.
Okay. And so I end up going, and I think I went 2 for 12 in the series. Didn't play well, and then went home. And I remember having the conversation with my dad, and it was kind of that Mickey Mantle moment where I don't know if you guys had heard that story, but basically I'm like, Dad, I don't know, man. I'm not sure if this is for me. I'm not sure I could cut it. Pro ball, it's different. It's not really a great team atmosphere. Everyone's out for themselves. And he goes, hey, at the time he was working for this commercial ceiling and lighting company. And he goes, we just had one of our forklift drivers just quit a few minutes ago. He goes, you want to come home and drive the forklift? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. Let me stick this baseball thing out a little bit longer. And so then we went up to Everett, Washington, and there was a sign in left field that the Everett Aqua Sox, and the sign says Ken Griffey Jr. hit his first home run right here, and it has like the spot that he hit. And so I turned to Jason Hart, Southwest Missouri State, one of my best friends, and I go, Hartsy, I'm hitting that fucking sign today. Ken Griffey Jr. and I are going to share that spot. And so sure enough, got up there right off the sign. That was the first home run. The second one went 50 feet over the sign, and it was on. And look, everyone wants to talk about politics, and everyone wants to talk about, this opportunity or this or this or this or that. You create your own opportunities through your success. And I tell my kids this all the time. Be so good that they can't ignore you. If you're so good they can't ignore you, don't worry about it. You don't leave it up to someone else's judgmental opinion. Right. Just you do you be as, you guys, to all the kids says, all let them play kids says, be so great when they're talking about Select Fest or all this other bullshit. Like, dude, just be so good they can't ignore you. If they ignore you, then everyone's going to look back upon it and be like, why is it possible they missed? I'll give you an example of Frankie Campos, kid that we have. It's out of Arizona. Unbelievable. I mean, he probably hit, if you go look at his PG numbers, like it was 600, 720 something homers. Hey, left off Select Fest. He was so good they can't ignore him. And then they look back upon, they're going to say, oh, it's because he missed PGI, whatever. But still, guess what? When all the kids want to sit there and go through this and this and this and that and dig themselves, everyone's going to be looking back and be like, oh, dude, nah, Frankie Campos, right? It just, and then when they do ignore you, they how's that look for them? It's not great.
Right.
Not great at all. So, yeah, that was my path. I just hit my way to the big leagues. I banged, man. I found barrels. I competed my ass off. I heard, I think it was Johnny Gomes talk about the other day when he was talking about all the new wave, hitting gurus and exit velocity and launch angles and everything else. And it's like, look, man, like we spend so little time on approach and talk, like that's where you win. You win by your approach at the plate. It's, your swing is kind of your swing. And it's, you could try to tweak a few things to put you in a better position, but we're kind of naturally like this is what we are. So then the question becomes, how do we put ourselves in position to succeed over and over and over again? And in my humble opinion, it's your approach at the plate. It's having a plan. It's hunting a pitch and not missing it when you get it.
How's Biscuit doing?
He's doing well. He's ski racing. He actually won his race last weekend. There's like 100 kids in it. So It was a pretty big one, Far West race. And
still hitting wiffle balls inside the gym.
Great. He's big, man.
Yeah, he looks big.
Dude, he's 5'10" now. I mean, it was like 5'4" a couple months ago, it felt like.
Oh, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
they grow up quick, and all of a sudden it's, he's, hey, Dad. Voice is getting all deep. He's chasing chicks.
You're like, where did the time go? Jesus.
You're not kidding.
Hey, I didn't see him when that bear came in the house, though. Where was he?
What's that?
I said I didn't see him when the bear came in the house.
Oh, he was right there. He saw it first.
Oh, that's right. I did. Yes.
He saw. What's so funny about that? So, basically, what happened was this bear broke into our house downstairs, and he came through the big window.
Yeah.
And I was upstairs getting ready for bed, and then I went downstairs to tell the kids good night. And when I walked downstairs, there was a bear on top of the bar. And I just, holy shit, right?
Oh,
Right there. Here it is.
I mean, this is incredible.
So you want to?
So I walked, but when I first walked down, like this thing was staring at me, and just like
I would have
the
freaked
footage
out.
of him walking off the bar is after I scared him away. But watch his eyes right here. You'll be able to see his eyes as they peek back in.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I would have freaked out.
I mean, look at that thing, dude. So the bear was staring at me, and then I went up and grabbed my phone. And then went back down and started shooting the footage of it. And so I guess what had happened is Biscuit walked out of his room and he was walking by the bar. And he said, it was like me to the screenwriter, right? He said he like this, and he turned. And next, he was face to face, not but 3 feet from the bear. And he slowly turned around and just walked back the other way. And walked into my daughter's room and is like, there's a bear on the bar. And she's like, no way, no way. He's like, there's a bear on the bar. And as he was telling her this, that's when they heard me going, there's a fucking bear in the house! Stay in your room! Stay in your room!
With your phone out?
Oh, yeah, you have to capture that.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't believe that. I was like, what am I watching here? That was great.
And it just walked out on his own?
Yeah.
It just walked out and said, all right, I'm out?
No, Byrnes was yelling, get out! Get out!
And then he walked out, and then you could tell, like you saw the eyes, he peeked back in. And then we got him out, right? So he walked out of that window. So then we closed the window. And then we had a big patio right there. It's a jacuzzi outside, fire pit. And he went and laid down by the fire pit. And he did not move for 30 minutes.
Oh, man.
He
wanted
to kick back. Just vibe out.
I would have definitely freaked out.
He came back 2 or 3 times after that, too.
Yeah, I'm good. Man, I had to bring that up. I had to bring that up.
No, that's funny. I mean, that's scary though. It is scary because you just don't know how they would react. But then when it's all said and done, it's funny because it's like you even look back, looked at the eyes, went to go hang out after, like. Yeah. But I mean, hey.
Yeah, you just don't want to. You don't want to trap it, so you don't want to make it feel like it's trapped because then it could freak out, and you don't want to get in between the bear and its cubs. So, thankfully, it had no cubs with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the time that you have to be careful. For the most part, they're black bears here, and they're very, very, very rarely will have any sort of conflicts with humans. I mean, they kind of mind their own business. They look at us as we're annoying, and they just want to eat, man. 20,000 calories a day.
Man. Hey, let's talk about let them play. Let them play. So how'd you come up with that name?
So, like I said earlier, it started as a foundation that my wife and I came up with, and the whole concept and idea was to get kids outside and get them playing. I think it's like 90% of public schools no longer have everyday PE. I think that's 97% actually.
Wow.
Kids spending mass amounts of times on screens, 8-10 hours a day. I think now more than ever we're disconnected with what matters in life, and so to get kids back outside, to get them playing, it's even bring up the pickleball thing again. It's like, well, why do I love pickleball so much? Because I'm detached from my phone for 3 hours and I'm just playing and I'm doing shit that reminds me of my youth and my childhood, and it's everything. That's what we need, right? Yeah. And so it's great for our mental health. And if you look at the mental health of these kids these days, it's not good.
No.
And so I actually ended up doing a triathlon across the country where I swam from San Francisco to Oakland, biked from Oakland to Chicago, and then ran from Chicago to New York City. And along the way, we raised money for this Let Them Play Foundation. And then what we did was we handed out grants to different youth activity organizations. So, for example, we were in Sacramento and handed out a $500 check to a youth soccer team that needed new uniforms and balls. We went to Salt Lake City and we handed, I think it was like a $2,500 check to one of the local little leagues in Salt Lake City. We went into Cleveland and we gave a check to the Cleveland PE department. And it's just, you'd be shocked at like, how far 500,000, 1,500, $2,000 will go to some of these places. I mean, we have people, obviously taking our money with like tears in their eyes, just so thankful. But our whole mission is to get the kids outside and get them playing. And then just as, we finished this thing up, my kid had played had played Little League. And, at the time, I think he was like 8. And he played on like a local travel ball team, whatever. And I think that, I could see the direction it was going. Right. When they're that young, it's pretty easy to stay out of it. And I certainly gave, my kid all sorts of instruction, right?
Right.
And he was going to get that instruction. He was going to get in the backyard, and I was going to take him to the field, and I was going to take him to the cages and everything else. But I think as the more I watched what was going on, I knew I could help, and I knew I had a lot of value to bring, not just to my kid, but to all of the kids. And so we ended up putting together a team this was right before COVID. And we don't really know what to call it because it was in our minds at the time, it was like a one-off team. It was a 10U team. We went and played in Manteca. And we had probably like 4 10U players. My buddy Jason Green was our catcher at UCLA. He had a team in San Diego, so he came up with like 4 kids. Troy Gloss and his kid, he came up, and so I think there's 4 or 5 of us that had gone to UCLA. Another guy, Josh Whitesell, that I played pro ball with. My cousin John Gall, who's the president of USA Baseball, his kid. So we had kids across 3 age groups, right? We had 10 U's, we had 9 U's, we had 8 U's. And we went out there and we freaking won the tournament. And it was like, we had 13 kids and we're batting everybody and we're way underage. And then after that, COVID hit.
Right.
And then they stopped playing in California. And so naturally we're like, well, let them play. And so we're like, let's go find a tournament in Arizona. Let's go find a tournament in Texas.
Nice. And
we start traveling to these places and not quite playing top end stuff. We were doing some U-Trip stuff and some NCS. But then as we aged up a year and then became a little bit more age appropriate, we're like, whoa, we're pretty good. And then, it ended up, we ended up combining with another one of these teams, Ryan Griffin, who I know Gus knows, and then he had this smash team that Biscuit would play on, and then we combined this and that, and then next thing you know, dude, we had a top level national team, and we travel the country, and we're just really enjoying it. Our whole motto has never been. It's always been about the let them play thing. Is we don't pay for families, but we don't charge them anything. So we're not like these other organizations that are handing out stipends and airfare and private coaching or anything else. But we do not charge. So it's like, hey, show up, we'll get you a uniform, come play baseball, and it was it was really special. I mean, even the beatdowns we took by Gus and the boys, they were it. That was the one team. And literally, in all my years, Gus, I'll tell you, the one team that we just couldn't crack was that we played multiple times. Yeah. Was that Braves team with Jordan and the boys?
Yeah. The slider,
special group,
slider.
Man.
That team was different.
I remember you're walking down third base line, coaching. You're like, and I think I had Jordan on the bump, and I went slider, boom, slider again. You're like, here comes another slider, and I said, you damn right.
So and I'm telling my kid this. I'm like, okay, another slider's coming. This is what we're gonna do. We're going to look for it to start at you, have it break over the plate. Anything that starts middle, we're going to take it. And I'm explaining this as Gus is like, slider.
Yeah, yeah, those were some good battles, though. It was a lot
That
of
was
fun.
fun, man.
No, now we got to play each other again. We got a 13-year-old team, and you know, I mean, I know you got some big boys on there. You got some really big boys. So
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
we have a good crew, man. I think what happens, I'm sure you've experienced this, but when you go out, you play in these tournaments, and you coach the right way, you treat kids the right way, and the kids play the game the right way.
Yeah.
Then kids become and parents become naturally attracted to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then that opens the door for obviously opportunities to bring in other kids. And
For sure.
we've always been, where we've had a core of usually about 9. And so we have another 2, 3, 4 floating spots that allow us to bring in new kids. And, some of the kids are fits, and then others, they're just not. And you don't really know until you get them out there and you get them playing. And
It's like that everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I mean, it's like that at the high school level. If it's not a fit, I'm gonna transfer out later. Let's be honest. But oh man, we had some good battles. I remember that one in Vegas.
I was about to say, I was like, dude,
That one in Vegas.
I was like, that battle was a
We
good
were waiting
one.
for your game to end, and then the fields, the field situation. You ready for the video? You
Come
ready?
on, man.
We got video. Look at this. This is
No way.
This
Look
is
at
the
this.
dragging the field with a table. See that?
Yeah, and then they tried to kick me out of the tournament for that.
No, you got
Oh,
tossed.
you got tossed. Yeah. They're like, hold on, now.
That's bullshit. I couldn't believe it. I'm out there trying to make the field playable,
Yes.
and then they came to me. Yeah, the umpire throws me out of the game.
Before the game
And then I had
started.
to call the tournament director to get me back in.
Yeah, I got a
Yeah.
call from Omar, the tournament director. He's like, Gus, this happened. I'm like, Omar, I'm standing right at the field, where he's at. I go, yeah, of course. I go, we're gonna allow him back in. I'll go, the game hasn't even started. How did you get tossed before the game even started?
We were running on like 30 minutes late too
Yeah.
because of that.
I just don't understand. There's a quote that I have on my board downstairs, like in my vision board. It says, "Do the right thing," and I want my kids to go by that and read it every single. Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
And this isn't about rules. This isn't about laws. This is about being a good person and doing the right thing. And sometimes in life you do the right thing, and then bureaucracy steps in and tries to penalize you for it.
Right.
And I still being a man of principle, like I would tell my kids that what was the right thing to do? The right thing was to not send our kids out and play on that dog shit field that hadn't been dragged all day, but it was to try to fix the field so we all could play the game and go home.
Right.
That was it,
It was
right?
freezing that night.
It was.
Oh, freezing.
Yeah.
Kept running up and down like you always do. I was like, where is he going? He's just running up and down.
No, but to even think about the table, first of all, I was like, man, that's a genius move right there. I was like, wait, what? I was
He's
like,
yelling while he's doing it. He goes, I played on Dominicans before.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a genius move right there.
That was funny, man. That was a classic one. That was great. So now you even you brought up a book of LTP. Let them play.
Yeah.
That's
So
great. We have it here on our table.
yeah, I have one right here. So basically, as I was doing this, and just we were doing this, we created this organization. I had a bunch of other people reaching out, saying, hey, look, how can we get involved, and can we start a team? And when I first did it, like we had that original OG group of the older kids. They were a 14U team last year, like solid too, with a lot of the original guys that we had that original 10U team with. And so Jason Green, I mentioned him. He was our catcher at UCLA. He was a coach of that team, him along with Eric Andrews, who worked with Tom House for a long time. And so we've always prided ourselves on having just like really good baseball people. And so then Chad McToyan was our second baseman at UCLA. He was running like 2-3 different teams out of Fresno. And then when we started getting requests by some of the people that I didn't know as well, I think, the one prerequisite just from like a baseball perspective was, look, if we could be from a skill perspective, a solid local majors team. I don't need you guys to be a top national team or anything else, but I do think, you guys ought to put together a brand that we're going to be proud of.
Right.
So when we send them out on the field, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. They might not be as big as the national kids, right?
Right.
But they play the game the right way and whatnot. And so then I started thinking about just, the way we coach and this free and fearless mentality that we want the kids to have. The fact that, we don't really have signs and every kid has a green light 3-0. And the only time you're going to learn how to swing 3-0 or like how to really get it is you go through it and then you swing, at a terrible pitch and you pop it up and, a game that's like a 1-run game or something. You're like, dude, what am I doing? Right. And so I think kids have to naturally sort of go through that. It's the same thing with stealing bases. Like every one of our kids has a green light, but it's get a lead, get a jump, go. Well, how are you going to figure out if you can steal bases or not? Right. A lot of times you get the, slow fat kid that the coach never wants to give the green light to, and rightfully so, right? Because I probably wouldn't want to give it to him either. But next thing you know, you're like, this kid's on his own, and he's ripping bags left and right. And you're like, whoa. And he still may not be the fastest kid on the team, but he lulls the pitcher to sleep, gets good leads, gets good jumps. So our motto is get a lead, get a jump, go. And so we have a lot of these things. We're obsessed with the details, obsessed with keeping our eye on the baseball at all times. Relay throws coming in, kid, rounding first base after a single. How many times you see the kids pull up and, they want their sliding mitt, their batting gloves, and all this other bullshit. And the shortstop gets the ball, and he drops it.
Right.
And we just cost ourselves 90 feet, so to speak.
Yep.
Because you're worried about your sliding mitt.
Yeah.
So we've become obsessed with those little things. And again, like you want to be as flashy as you can be flashy. It doesn't matter. You want to wear your uniform however you want to wear it. You want all the drip. Cool. I'm good with that. But guess what? You know what's drippy? What's drippy is freaking a hard 90. What's drippy is making the right turns. What's drippy is taking the extra base. Like, that's drip, man. That's the shit that the scouts are going to see down the road.
Yep.
And they'll be like, this kid knows how to play the game. Oh, where did he learn how to play the game? Let them play.
Let them play.
All right. Now we're on to something. And so I tell the boys, I'm like, look, you guys are a representation of the organization. Yeah. And whether I like it or not, you guys are a representation of me. So when you go out there, you don't run a ball hard, run a ball out hard, and you're not taking that extra base, and you're swinging at 3-0 pitches, at your head. Like that's not good baseball. Right. Like, and so again, we obsessed over the details, and we like to think that we do the little things better than everybody else. And that's what's allowed us to have a ton of success. And Gus, especially like, when we're competing with you guys, I just think from a talent perspective, like, we were outmanned, right? Like with some of the dudes that you had. Yeah. But so how are you gonna counter that? If you're outmanned and you're out physicality, right? Like, how are you going to make up for that? Right. And you make up for it with fundamentals. You make up for it by figuring out how to put the barrel of the bat on the ball, put pressure on the defense. I'm another thing we're really obsessed with is positioning, outfield positioning, infield positioning. Having the guys, we get beat, fine, but let's have our guys in the right spot. Yeah. And so, especially when we were younger, we do some crazy things like we'd bring in a fifth infielder, we take two outfielders, we pinch the middle. Yeah, we play this rover. Yeah. And it was crazy. I up until about the 12U level, and until you start playing the top national teams, it works. I'm telling you, the rover works where you bring your center fielder in, put him about, 20, 30 feet behind second base, and he's just he's picking balls off all day. So
I might have to try that.
Yeah, try it this
it's
weekend.
fun. It is fun. And I'll tell you what, when that rover makes a play, you look so good. And guess what? When a routine fly ball to center field drops, you look like an asshole. And everyone's like, "What's he doing?"
Oh man, that's so true. That is so true. But hey, Landon King, man, one of my favorites you had, Landon King, shortstop. Man,
He's one of the best players certainly that has ever come through. Let them play.
Yeah.
I think what makes him so special though, it's not just the physical tools that he has, but it's his work ethic, it's his preparation.
He respects the game.
Like, there are a bunch of 12-year-olds out there and they're picking noses and talking about this and that, whatever. It's like a new pitcher comes in the game and we could be up 20-0, and here's Lando like this, like timing. He's already 4 for 4 with 3 jacks, and he's timing them. He's timing them up. So just a super advanced approach. I'm glad to see that the rest of the country has gotten to see what we got to see. Yeah. But he's a special athlete, and he's going to be a hell of a player.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to be in high school next year, right?
He's a freshman this year, actually.
Oh wow. Okay, where's he at?
St. Francis.
St. Francis.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
There you go. Look at that. St. Francis.
My alma mater.
Did you have a lot to do with that? Somewhat.
Well, I obviously I spoke well about the school.
Yeah.
I think the job just came up.
Did you apply?
Oh man, look at him!
No.
Look at him!
He said no.
I certainly did not, but I was talking with Landon's parents through that process, and I thought about it for a second, and quickly came to my senses. It's just that's not where I'm at in my life right now. I got 3 kids up here ski racing, and my wife's in Tahoe right now, so we're 3.5 hours from the bay. There's a time and place for everything. It just didn't make sense. But
for sure,
I think it's they hired the guy from Alpha Prime. I know he's involved with that organization.
Okay.
Which I know they've had a lot of success. So I think they're in good hands over there, and it'll be fun to watch. Sure. Landon. This is our first group of high schoolers. We have Landon, and then the Tua twins who are also at St. Francis as well, and then my buddy's kid, Jason Green's kid, Colin Green, is at Torrey Pines in San Diego, and so it's now becoming real, right? Like,
for sure.
You're seeing a lot of these kids, and I mean, this is crazy. The prospect list that they're now putting together, class of 2029, and it's heavy, man.
It is.
So it's a lot coming at these kids in a very short period of time.
Yeah. Before we let you go, you got to share your best Ricky Henderson story, man. Rest in peace. We want to hear that. I know. That definitely hit home.
Yeah, Ricky used to come around when I was with the A's. I played against him actually. Let's see, 2001. He was with the Padres when I was with the A's, and then he would come around. I think his second year he was done. I think he played till 2003, maybe was his last year with the Dodgers. But he was one of those dudes, man. So this right here, this is funny. I was working for MLB Network, and I came out, and like I said, Ricky had come to a few camps before, and I remember one of them talking base running, and he had this thing where if you guys watch him, like when he went to steal base, and this is the greatest base steal of all time, he'd cheer and he'd go, whoop, and he'd make this move first, and then he'd go. Well, for me, I was here, and my first move was actually taking my left foot and putting it up here over my right, and then I was gone, and I felt like I could get the top speed faster that way, as opposed to this. And so we had that discussion, And it was interesting because, I thought he was going to say, like, no, dude, like, this is how you have to do it.
Right.
But it's the perfect example of, like, there's not necessarily one way to do things. There's not one way to steal a base. There's not one way to hit a home run. There's like everyone has different approaches and everything else. Even stealing third base, he used to steal third base flat-footed. He'd be here same way and then boom and go. Where I would do the V, and is what I teach our kids. Basically, I want you walking into it and getting that momentum, and then when you see this come up, now we can roll. But anyhow, so I saw him. I was working for MLB Network in that picture, and I went up to him and, hey, Ricky, hey, man, Eric Byrnes used to play for the A's, and met you guys. It's like, man, Byrnesy, don't you ever fucking insult Ricky like that again. I know exactly who you are, man. He's like, we talked about stealing. We thought you'd like to do this, you'd like to do that, and I like to do this. But I told you keep doing. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's crazy because he got, I would say, credit for like all the Rickyisms, right? Like the Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
Sort of. He was the modern day. He said, I'm the modern day Yogi Berra, only faster. Right? And he would have all his sayings, but the way his brain worked, I mean, I think this was like a super, super, super intelligent person that knew exactly what he was doing. Like, you just don't steal all those bases without having, an incredible sense of feel and creativity. You think about the next closest to him is Lou Brock, and he's like damn near 500 stolen bases away.
Damn.
It's insane to think about.
Yeah. No, rest his soul for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he made an imprint on baseball for a long time, man, and I think that's where it's damn, what does it say? Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great billboard right there. But that's what it's all about, though, because like our end, we want to live the imprint of trouble, like giving the kids the best opportunity to go out there and succeed, prepare them for high school, for college, build good young men, and the impact of him was leaving an imprint of what speed can do in baseball, how stolen bases can win ball games, they can go do all these extra things, and not everybody wants to go. And now he made stealing cool, in the sense where it's like, go want to steal a base, go want to win a game, go take that extra bag. And then, yourself leaving the imprint of let them play, going out there and let the kids be the kids and get them ready for high school and college and to whatever they want to do. So, man, like it's crazy how much certain people can leave imprints. And I think that's what you and Ricky Henderson definitely did and are still doing. And, that's one thing we want to keep doing ourselves as well.
That's all of us. That's why we do this, right? It's to be able to pass on the knowledge and then to see these kids, apply what it is that we've taught them to their game. And what's funny is that I get this even more in parenting, right? Where it's like you could teach them something, and you may think it's in one ear and out the other, and then down the road, you watch them, and you're like, whoa, like. Well, he actually did listen. Right. And so I think as coaches and parents, just because we don't think we're always getting through, my advice to everybody, including you guys, is let's just keep firing. Let's keep firing the information that we have that, we believe is gonna, put the kids in the best position to succeed. And it's some of the stuff. Yeah, they're not gonna take in everything. But I think that's okay. I think it's our job to give them everything, and then it's up to them to decide what they're going to take and what they're not, and then decide whether or not they're going to apply that to their game. And ultimately, that's what helps them.
For sure. Well, Byrnesy, we're coming to an end here, man. Before we let you go again, we're going to hit you with some rapid questions real quick here. I do this to everyone. Let's see what you got here. See if you're old school or new school. Or you ready?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. Pitch clock or no pitch clock?
Pitch clock.
Got it. Favorite outfielder of all time?
Barry Bonds.
DH or no DH?
DH.
Pre-game meal.
Omelet.
Drag the field with a table or a machine?
Table.
Love it. Love it.
Hey man, just know that's always good, and that's a legendary moment, man. Like,
Yep.
that's a
Yep.
legendary.
He's the
moment.
table. I love it.
Hey,
Oh man. Well, thank you.
I just love what it represents.
Yeah.
And it is, in my opinion, like it's just like do whatever you got to do to play ball.
do the right thing.
Should have
That's
seen my
it,
parents
right?
were like, "What is he doing?" Oh my god! I was like, "He's getting the field ready for us." That's what he's doing. Go help him.
It's funny too, 'cause we're like, is it actually like Del Peck? You're like, yeah, it's actually pretty good.
It was better than probably the John Deere. Way better. But Byrnesy, again, thank you so much for joining us. This was great. We got to get you again in the future. Maybe get Troy Gloss in there as well.
Man.
That would be awesome. And I'll before Lira dismisses us here, I got to get with you on the no filter. I'll text you on the side about that. So,
Yeah, we got to get you guys a no filter. Basically, you guys come create live here, and then you'll get all the recording. It'll be done right after, and then you go ahead and fire away. We're an open platform. It's an awesome opportunity to get it out there, and then not only that, like we could have people watching this live. It'd be live streaming, and then you guys can slice and dice it, cut it up before you upload it to whatever of the 17 podcast platforms you guys upload to.
Go ahead, Lira.
No, yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you again, man. Episode 34, definitely a great one. What a great guy, great coach, great legend, great person. Eric Byrnes, man, we appreciate you. Thank you guys. Thank you again. Thank you guys for watching. Don't be afraid to hit the like button, the subscribe button. All that is free. Get us to 200 subscribers, and then we'll probably do another giveaway around that.
We don't have 19,000 like Eric.
But yeah, no. Our goal is to get to there. Is to get to there. But no, we really
Hey,
do
Byrnesy.
appreciate you on that.
Hey, by the way, guys, double sky point to Fernando Valenzuela. I know you said episode 34.
Yep.
So I got to face Fernando when he was about 50. When he was pitching down in Hermosillo, I was playing for Los Mochis. And
Oh, what?
Wow.
Dude, he cut my ass up, man. I mean, it was incredible. He was throwing the screwball. I think I was 0 for 3. I didn't punch out. There's just like a bunch of weak ass ground balls, and I think my last at bat I got a base hit off him. But yeah, what a legend, man.
Legend.
I mean, him and Ricky just gone way too soon. They were both just awesome. Awesome players, obviously, but awesome people, and they were just so great for the game of baseball.
They were.
And I know Fernando and his broadcasting and everything, but just they were lifers that continue to give back to the game. So
Yep.
Man, all right. Well, we'll let you go. And what you got going the rest of the day?
The slope's right there, so probably gonna hit like 2 laps on that, and then it's straight off to Reno. It's like a 45-minute drive, and so here to pickleball. Simple life, boys.
That's it. All right, Eric. Appreciate you, man. Thank you again.
All right, dudes.
All right, man. See you. We're out.
We out.